You start to grow up. All I can do is hold you tight, knowing clouds will rage on, storms will rise in, but you will be safe.
So we did first look at them.
How's the first one?
How many have yours? Here, you will see the eyes.
3. Just in knowing you'll someday see the truth from lies. When the clouds will rage and storms will race in, but you will be safe. My arms, rains will pour down, waves will crash around, but you will be safe. My arms, castles they might crumble, dreams may not come true. You are never on alone, 'cause I will always love you. When the clouds will rage and storms will race in, but you will be safe. My arms, rains will pour down, waves will crash around, but you will be safe. My arms, my arms. Not a stranger, no, I'm yours. Crippled anger, tears that still drip sore. Fragile frame edged with misery. And when our eyes meet, I know you see. I do not wanna be afraid. I do not wanna die inside just to breathe in. I'm tired of feeling so numb. Relief exists, I find it when I am cut. painfully shy. And these scars wouldn't be so hidden if you would just look me in the eye. I feel alone here and cold here. Oh, I don't wanna die. It's the only anesthetic that makes me feel anything kills inside. I do not wanna be afraid. I do not wanna die inside just to breathe in. I'm tired of feeling so numb. Relief exists, I find it when I am not a stranger. No, I am yours. With crippled anger, tears that still drip sore. But I do not wanna be afraid. I do not wanna die inside just to breathe in. I'm tired of feeling so numb. Relief exists, I found it when I was caught. Remember, surrender, remember the rest. Remember the weight lifting off our chest. And realizing that it's not up to you. And it never was. Remember, surrender, remember relief. Remember how tears rolled down both our cheeks as the warmth of a heavenly Father came closing in. I wanna do that again. Why can't I live there and make my home? In sweet surrender, I want to do so much more than remember. Remember, surrender, remember the peace. Remember how soundly you fell fast asleep. In the face of your troubles, your future still shone like the morning sun. Remember, surrender, remember that sound of all of those voices inside dying down. But one who speaks clearly of helping and healing you deep within. I wanna do that again. Why can't I live there and make my home? In sweet surrender, I want to do so much more than remember. Remember. Love, surrender. I wanna do that again. Oh, why can't I live there and make my home? In sweet surrender, I wanna do so much more than remember. Remember, surrender, remember the rest. Remember that weight lifting off of your chest and realizing that it's not up to you and it never was. It's okay to not be okay. This is a safe place. This is a safe place. Don't be afraid. Don't be ashamed. There's still hope here. There's still hope here. No matter what you've done or who you are, everyone is welcome in his arms. Just let go. Let his love wrap around you, hold you close. Get lost in the surrender. Breathe it in until your heart breaks. Then exhale. Exhale. Spirit, come, tear down the walls that only you can, that only you can. Reconcile this heart to yours right now, right now. Just let go. Let his love wrap around you and hold you close. Get lost in the surrender. Breathe it in until your heart breaks. Then exhale. Exhale. Hold that. Breathe in your grace. Breathe in your grace. And exhale. Oh God, we do not exist for us, but to share your grace and love. Then exhale. Oh God, we breathe in your grace. Breathe in your grace. And exhale. Oh God, we do not exist for us, but to share your grace and love. And exhale. Just let go. Let his love wrap around you, hold you close. Get lost in the surrender. Breathe it in until your heart breaks. Then exhale. Exhale. Hi, everyone, and good afternoon. Welcome to Imperceptible Scars, scars left behind by invisible wounds from the past. Last week, we held our first seminar. It was just to really help parents to understand their kids better. And we exceeded really our expectations. We never expected to reach thousands of viewers. And because of insistent public demand, yeah, nasabi ko na, due to insistent public demand, we are back together with our very hardworking mental health advocates, hopefully to help us understand our present scars right now and how to cope with them and how to deal with them. So together with JCI's and One Pinaglabanan and Miktinig Youth Organization, we are back together with our panel of mental health advocates to discuss this time mental conditions affecting parents, including parenting anxieties, especially during this pandemic, how to cope with the loss of a loved one, teen depressions and the scars that they leave behind, and a Q&A with Miktini Youth Organization as a conduit to this new generation. Before we start, some ground rules so that we can make sure that this will be a safe space for everyone to talk to. Number one, please be kind. Number two, no curse words, no judgments. Please be respectful. And number three, if you have questions, please feel free to post on the comment section below. And if you don't want to go public, please feel free to send us a private message at our Working Mama FB page, and we will respect and protect your anonymity. So let's start with our resident doctor. He is a registered psychiatrist, currently the ER chief resident at Green City Medical Center, a consultant psychiatrist at St. John Custodial and Psychiatric Therapeutic Home, a consultant psychiatrist at Reality Based Therapeutic Community Incorporated, and a courageous COVID frontliner. Welcome back, Dr. JM Chu.
Hi, Ricky. Magandang hapon ulit. Oo,
Hi, Doc.
grabe. 1 week, no? After 1 week, ito ulit tayo. No? Trying
Thank you, Doc,
to
so much
talk
for
about mental health and, what we can do to help people, especially at this, pandemic, no? Oo.
Yes, Doc. Actually, nagulat tayong lahat because we really wanted to talk to just that one person, one parent,
Yes.
one individual who really needed to hear these words of encouragement from our mental health advocates like you. So because of a lot of requests that we got, we are doing the second part of our mental health webinar, this time to talk about adult depression, adult mental
Yes.
health illnesses, especially those na affecting parents. So, Doc, to begin with, what are the common mental health conditions that affect Filipino adults nowadays?
Okay, kasi last week we talk about anxiety. No? Basically, pinaka most common naman kasi talaga anxiety. So, we tackle parang the surface part of the anxiety level, no? And then now, yung I think pinaka disabilitating kasi talaga masyado is yung depression nga, no? Once na pag yung anxiety mo mag-progress, no? And then pag medyo mas lumala siya, magkakause siya ng depression, especially nowadays na sa dami-daming nangyari, no? In 6 months, no? Since nag-start to yung pandemic, a lot of people lost their job, a lot of people, lost a loved one, no? Because of COVID-19. No, and hindi lang 'yun, pati yung iba hindi nakakabalik sa job nila abroad o hindi nakakauwi abroad. So ang dami, no? So depression is very debilitating kasi nga nagko-cause talaga siya ng parang nak-paralyze talaga isang tao. So una-una, let's define ano yung depression first, no? So basically ang sinasabi nga nila, 6 out of 15 people around the world, suffers depression, no? So that's like 40%. Just imagine, ang
Wow.
dami, no? Sobrang
Oo.
dami, no? And out of those, siguro 1 out of 6, no, sa atin, no, we can experience at least one depression in our lifetime. So, you, me, them, or anyone in our family pwede maka-experience ng depression. So, minsan, swerte natin na if we recognize it early, mas matutulungan natin sila. But if we cannot recognize it, baka mas may ano pang mangyari at biglo baka may magawa pa na hindi natin alam pala, no? So, una-una, what's depression, no? So, pag sinabi mo kasi depression, it's actually a part of a mood disorder, no? Part yan na malaking umbrella na isang mood disorder, no? So, marami yan sila, no? So, ang depression kasi is defined as basta as long as you have parang nagkaroon ka ng loss of interest, no? Of doing what is pleasurable to you, no? Tinatawag natin anhedonia, no? So, it has to be at least more than 2 weeks, no, yung duration na to. Kasi sometimes people na magkaranas ng depression pero mabilis yung coping mechanism nila, maganda yung character makeup nila, mabilis nila ma-overcome. But if it's like medyo tumagal-tagal na ng konti, if it's more than 2 weeks, then matatawag natin siyang depression, no? And there are certain mga kailangan natin i-observe, no, na bago siya maging depression, kailangan out of like siguro 10 or 12 na symptoms nakikita natin, kailangan meron kang at least 5, no? So what are these symptoms na dapat mo siya i-observe, no? So kailangan meron kang depressed mood, no? So what do you mean by depressed mood? So most of the days, no, medyo you feel like parang malungkot ka na walang reason at all, or kung may reason man, malungkot talaga ang nararamdaman mo, no? Yung pangalawa, yung sinasabi ko nga, yung diminished interest or yung anhedonia. Pangatlo is there's a significant increase in weight loss, no? Kasi nga wala ka nang ganang kumain, no? Ayaw ko nang kumilos. Or in children, iba kasi tumataba o hindi na na-achieve yung desired weight gain na kailangan i-achieve sa isang age-appropriate weight sa isang bata. So isa is pwedeng science din sa nakikita natin, no? Pangatlo would be yung difficulty sleeping or tulog ka ng tulog, yung insomnia o hypersomnia, no? So pag hindi ka nakakatulog sa gabi or tulog ka ng tulog, no, normally sa atin pag adult ka 6 to 8 hours lang kailangan natin. Pag sumobra ka doon, for example like 24 oras ka lang tulog sa buong mag-araw tulog ka, no? Symptoms na rin yun siya, no? Yung psychomotor agitation, yung tinatawag na parang medyo restless ka, or ayaw mong kumilos, psychomotor retardation naman tawag naman doon. Yung fatigue, no? Or loss of energy, yung parang pagod na pagod ka na walang dahilan kung di mo alam kung bakit ka pagod. Yung isa rin doon, yung feeling of worthlessness, yung parang pakiramdam mo wala ka ng silbi, no? Hindi mo na alam kung anong mga dapat mong gawin at anong worth mo as an individual. Tapos meron yung isa din yung decreased ability to think, no? Or parang hindi ka na makakapag-concentrate, no? Or parang magulo yung pag-iisip mo. And panghuli is yung meron ka ng morbid or suicidal thoughts, no? Or recurrent thoughts of suicide, no? So these are the symptoms, signs and symptoms na isang taong medyo may depressed ka, and kailangan meron kang papasok na at least 5 sa criteria na yun bago mo masabi na depressed isang tao. But, of course, like I said, it has to be sa mental or chemical imbalances sa brain. Kasi nga, some people might have depression pag meron kang clinical problems, like for example, may thyroid problem ka, no? Or even like mababa yung blood mo, may anemia ka, probably may sign of depression kasi wala kang energy, no? So as long as hindi siya drug induced also, no? Pag hindi ka nagda-drugs, walang alcohol intake. So kailangan it's purely talaga more like yung moods mo at saka yung emotion mo bago mo masasabing depressed isang tao.
Okay. Doc, so may
physical manifestations talaga ang pagiging
Yes.
depressed, no?
Opo.
I've heard
No, kasi,
also cases na talagang nagkakaroon ng sakit yung tao. Walang simptomas, blood chem, maayos lahat. Pero nagkakaroon sila ng lagnat.
okay. Kasi, part kasi pag depressed ka, yun ang tinatawag natin na psychosomatic symptoms no?
Psychosomatic.
Yes.
Okay.
Your mind really works wonders, no? Whatever your mind tells you, the body would follow, no? Naalala mo yung bata pa tayo, di ba? Pag tamad kang pumasok, ayaw mo pumasok sa class kasi nga may exam ka or may report ka na hindi mo pinaghandaan kasi takot na takot ka. You're actually takot ka sa professor mo na terror or talaga hindi mo lang talaga napandaan. So, sa gabi pa lang yon, very anxious ka na. So, you would think na, naku, gusto ko mag-absent bukas, mag-absent ako bukas. So, isip ka na isip ng mga ways kung paano ka mag-absent. Kinabukasan, miracles of all miracles, lalagnatin ka, magtatae ka, no? Part to actually ng anxiety. Kaya nagkakaroon ng ganyan. So, medyo, these are psychosomatic symptoms na talaga magmamanifest pag may pinagdadaanan ka or may anxiety na nararamdaman sa sarili mo. Oo.
Parang it's called the psychogenic fever ba?
Oo, parang gano'n na tinatawag.
Kasi
Yes po.
it is really clinically proven, di ba, na meron talagang psychogenic fever. Pero
yes,
ano yung magiging gamot dito?
Well, una-una,
hindi ka naman pwedeng uminom lang ng paracetamol. Tapos
well,
gagaling ka na.
Kailangan talaga ma-settle yung issue, no? Una-una. Whatever ano yung cause ng anxiety mo, kailangan natin ma-discuss yun, pag-usapan, at matanggal, no? Yung cause ng anxiety. Of course, i-treat pa rin yung fever, no? Symptomatic pa rin yung treatment pa rin dyan. If you have fever, syempre bigyan tayo ng paracetamol pa rin. Pero minsan, meron siya on and off fever niyan. Advice ko pa rin, of course, hindi naman natin pwede i-blame lang lahat sa mental health, no? Baka naman talaga may underlying issues kasi talaga, no? So of course, he is advised pa rin to undergo clinical workup pa rin, no? So magpapa-blood chem siya, lahat, no? Kung if he needs to do an, in ultrasound or whatever, para lang malaman kung anong mga problems talaga, gagawin yun siya. And then kung wala talaga makita, if everything's normal, then I guess baka yung issues about mental problem.
So you have to really go to the root of the problem. Kailangan talaga i-address yung underlying problems.
Kailangan talaga i-address talaga. Oo.
Ako
Hello, Ricky.
Doc.
Yes. Teka, wait.
Sorry, we're having some technical difficulties. Okay, ganito talaga pag live po pala ang webinar natin. Okay, but Doc, those are very, very interesting points. Oo, no? At least like adults now can have like a checklist. Kumbaga, halimbawa nararamdaman itong mga binigay mong mga symptoms kanina. It can be a wake-up call for them to seek for help. Hello? Yes, Doc. So, Doc, we will... yes, Doc.
Advice ko lang naman kasi talaga, basta if in case na if you think na you are going to something, no? You could actually, talk to your friends or your family, open up with them, and then kung talagang kailangan talaga ng professional help talaga, I really advise talaga to seek psychological or psychiatric help talaga.
Okay.
Kasi sometimes kasi, kailangan kasi talaga mag-medicate na Oo.
There are medicines available here in the Philippines.
Of course, no? Okay. Of course. Yes, no? Ang daming available na medications. Basta may mga criteria kasi kami sinusunod no? kung ano mga dapat bigyan ng gamot, no? Sometimes
Mm-mm.
kung mild lang sila, no, you do probably psychotherapy lang or CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy lang gagawin namin dyan. Or siguro kailangan lang talaga ng ibang tao kasi na someone mapagsabihan nila, pagsabihan ng sama ng loob or yung frustrations
Oo.
nila or even yung ano nila. So pag hindi na, pag sa tingin namin, papasok siya sa criteria na warranted siya for therapeutic help na, so doon na kami magbibigay ng medication sa kanila.
Okay, siguro maganda na paalalahanan natin yung mga viewers natin not to
Oo.
self-medicate at this point,
Yes.
ano?
Yes, yes.
Oo.
It's really difficult, no?
Mm-mm.
Oo, kasi una-una, Ricky, mahal yung psych meds. Sobrang mahal,
Oh,
hindi siya
okay.
mura. Oo, and then sometimes it can cause adverse side effects, no, na hindi talaga maganda talaga. So
Mm-mm.
if kung ititake mo siya without the prescription, tamang prescription ng doktor talaga, ikaw lang di mahihirapan, no?
Halip na
Kasi
gumaling ka,
magpapatong-patong yung
baka lalo pang lumala
Opo.
yung nararamdaman niya.
Yes.
Oo.
Opo.
Sige, Doc. Alam mo ba, babalikan ka namin mamaya. But
Okay.
for now, we would like to welcome back, of course, a courageous mom who lost her child to suicide. From our last webinar, our viewers learned the story of Sheila Guevara Suntay. And while we try to understand what her son Renzo and what many kids may be going through, today, Mommy Sheila is back to raise awareness on dealing with her own depression and grief after losing Renzo. She founded YOLO, a nonprofit organization promoting mental health awareness. She is a mother of 5 whose favorite pastime is cooking. Therapeutic din daw po yan. She's the general manager of Basic Transport Corporation, a board director of Clean Fuel Inc. and US to Everywhere Inc. Guys, let's welcome back Mommy Sheila Guevara Suntay.
Hi, Ricky.
Hi, Mommy Sheila.
For having me again. So happy.
Okay. Hi, Mommy. Mommy Sheila. So last time, our viewers found out your very traumatic experience when you lost your firstborn, Renzo. What did you first feel? What came into mind first when you got that phone call telling you that Renzo wasn't breathing anymore?
Yeah. Okay. Well, Ricky. Ang hirap. First of all, when my yaya said he wasn't breathing anymore, of course I did not know how he died. Basta I remember my yaya said, "Ma'am, hindi na humihinga. Basta pa may barel siyang katabi." Suicide was it wasn't something that entered my mind. Kasi sabi ko nga sa'yo, my family is not perfect, but happy family kami. Of course, we have our share of troubles and problems. We have our own disagreements, but our family is just as normal as everybody else. Suicide is something that you would actually think would cross the minds of any of your children. So, nung sinabi niya, "Ma'am, may baril sa tabi," I said, "Humihinga pa ba?" Sabi niya, "Ma'am, hindi na." You know, the first thing I was riding a van eh. You know, inusog ko yung van. I pulled it all the way to the back. I created a space in front of me. I went down on my knees. That was the first thing. You know, I tell you this, in times of trouble, your money, your name, your power, whatever it is that you have, it goes down to zero value. Pag buhay na pinag-uusapan, it goes down to zero value. Everything you have doesn't mean anything anymore. I went down on my knees, and at that point in time, who else will you go to? Of course, kay God na talaga, di ba? My driver was in front of me. Wala na akong pakialam. We were actually in EDSA. We were meeting the cars head-on kasi kung mag-U-turn kami, mata-traffic. So I told the driver, umikot ka na, i-head-on na natin. Tapos naka-hazard lights kami, then kumakaway na lang yung driver. Thankfully, the cars were giving way naman to us, but they knew it was an emergency. So I went down on my knees and I was yelling. I was crying because you know why it was so painful, Ricky? I was raised from a very, very strong Catholic family. Although now I'm a Christian, no, you come to a point where you get to choose naman talaga your personal relationship with Christ or your religion. But I grew up very strong Catholic. I grew up believing in God, praying. Now that I have a family, I do the same with my kids. I do Bible classes twice a week. In fact, my daughter also was conducting her own Bible class. She was, I think, 17 or 18. She would do her own Bible class. Very spiritual family. All my life, God has always answered my prayers. All my life. There was never a time na hindi niya sinagot. Kung hindi man niya or kung sinagot man niya, there are times na medyo delayed, yung ang tagal, but there was always an answer. So I knew at the back of my head, nagkamali yung yaya ko. I just knew at the back of my head my son was still alive. So I kept praying and I said, as much as you have breathed life to Lazarus, raise my son, breathe life into his body. I am going to come home and find my son still breathing. In fact, yung gate kasi namin is remote eh. So I remember sumigaw ako sa driver ko and I said, pagdating natin sa bahay, wag mong isasabay yung gate, wag mong i-remote. Takbo na, tumakbo ka na, we'll go to Renzo's room, carry him, and we're gonna take him to the hospital. I remember I went down on my knees and I was praying and I was telling God, I know my son is not going to be okay. I'm sure he's gonna be hospitalized. 30 days, 1 year, 10 years, I don't know. But I want him to be breathing when I come home. Rix, my God, you can't even begin to imagine how I felt when I saw a lifeless, bloodied body already. So I was so angry with God. So angry. In fact, when I entered the bathroom, when I was looking at him, hindi ako makapaniwala. And it was too late. There was no way I could take him to the hospital anymore. Wala na, he wasn't breathing. Lumabas pa ako ng banyo niya. Parang umikot, I can't remember, parang umikot pa ako sa kwarto eh. I felt I was dreaming. Hindi ako makaliak. Bong at the time was with DRRD. He was with the president kasi at the time in the province, so hindi rin makauwi si Bong noon. I went back to the bathroom and I stared at him. And when I saw na talagang wala na, I yelled at God. I was so angry. And I challenged him and I said, if you are real, if you are even real, come down and breathe life to him because you've done it before, you can do it again. And Ricky, hindi niya ginawa. He didn't breathe life into my son. So I was so angry. He disappointed me and I told myself, you are not real. You are not real. You're a fake and a phony. I don't want you in my life anymore. I was so angry. So the wake went on and you would have people coming to the wake and say, oh, your son is with God already. My God, talagang pumuputok yung tenga ko. I did not want to hear the word God. Parang nagiginig ako when I would hear the word God. I was so angry at him. I couldn't believe he would do it to me. When you think of all the bad people outside, you have rapists, you have pedophiles, you have all these corrupt people in the government. And I told myself, sa dami-dami nang pwedeng kukuhanan ng anak, why me? I've always been a follower of Christ and I taught my children and raised them to be followers of Christ. Why did you choose me? And I remember I was preparing for a eulogy. Ricky, my eulogy, I was so prepared to give a talk in front of thousands of people kasi punong-puno yung Lasal doon every day and I knew I was going to get a huge crowd. I was so ready to prepare and give a testimony that all of you believers of God, one day your bubble is going to pop and you're going to realize there is no God. Niloloko lang niya kayo. I was ready to say that until my prayer partner came to the wake the day before I was making the eulogy and she said, Shills, guess who picked me up? Sabi ko, who? Sabi niya, God came to pick me up. Sabi ko, wow, naka-Mercedes ka ba? Naka-chopper ka ba? Ano ba pa sa'yo? Very sarcastic kasi I was so angry nga. Ito sabi niya, no, Shills, she called, I think it was Grab that she called, or Lala mo, I can't remember. I think it was Grab that she called. And she said, I called Grab and God sent me a car. Sabi ko, okay, pakiko ko anong kotse pinasundo sa'yo. And she said, no, it's just so funny, Sheila, kasi I always call Grab. Pero what are the odds na white yung kotse na pang susundo? Sabi ko, my God naman, her name is Shaya. Sabi ko, my God naman, Shaya, pumunta ka sa opisina ko, I run a taxi company, all my cars are white. So what? White. Hindi, di ba? Kasi sarcastic ako eh.
Oo.
She
You
said,
were
"No."
angry.
I was very angry. And I
Oo.
said, Shill's note, it came with a weird plate number. It was unusual. So I said, so anong plate number? So this was the plate number. Direct, can we show the plate number to the viewers, please? Well, basically, the plate number says 529. Meron nakalagay na GOD 529. Direct, can we show them? Baka isipin ng mga viewers, niloloko ko sila kasi my prayer partner took a photo of the plate number and showed it to me. So, merong word na God, and yun nasabi ko pa nga sa kanya, ano ngayon ko may God sa plate number? I'm sure madami namang plaka dyan, talagang may God, ang dali-dali naman. So that was the plate number na it says GOD 529.
Wow.
You know, Vicky, it's so funny.
This is the one, Ma'am Sheila.
Yeah, it says God 529. No? Sabi
Yes. Oo.
Days after that, I went to my office, chinek ko yung plaka ng mga taxi ko. I have over 500 taxis. I'm not expecting to find a plate number na God. But to even get a letter G to start a plate number, wala akong mahanap. So if you are out there, if you can find a letter G, swerte kayo. But I've been looking at letter G. It's so hard to get a G. Very common ang A, C, M, H, B. But to get a G was so difficult. So sabi ko, so what if it's God 529? It doesn't mean si God nagpadala ng kotse. Sabi niya, wait, Sheila, I researched the meaning of 529 and I used the Strong Concordance Bible. Do you know what that is? Sabi ko, no, I do not know what Bible that is and I do not care. Sabi niya, no, I want you to know what the Strong Concordance Bible is. That is a Bible that is being used by the Vatican. Apparently, they don't use the Bible that we use, no? And if you are studying priesthood, ang ginagamit doon nila was the Strong Concordance Bible. Sabi ko, so what? If you have that Bible, pake ko. Tapos sabi, no, funny lang kasi I Googled, I checked, sorry, she didn't Google, she checked the 529 in the Bible. And when she checked the meaning of 529 in Greek, directly show the meaning of 529 in Greek, she took a photo kasi eh. 529 means faithful in the Strong Concordance Bible. Ayan na, I'm showing the viewers kasi I want you to know, hindi namin to inimbento. So, when you say God 529, meaning God is faithful, di ba? So sabi ko sa friend ko, sabi ko, Chay, God 529 means God is faithful. He took my son without a heads up. You know what's even worse? What's the worst thing that God did to me? Hindi niya sinabi sa akin na may sakit yung anak ko. He could have given me, signs. I could have helped him because I would have given him my life. Magagamot ko siya. I would have brought him to a doctor. So, don't tell me that God is faithful. Niloko niya ako, He is not faithful. Sabi niya, Shields, hindi pa tayo tapos. That's just the Greek meaning, ha? May Hebrew meaning ang 529. Can we please show it? So, it means the act or the act or the reception of a newly arrived official. The act of meeting a newly arrived official. God, G-O-D, 529 means God is faithful. God meets a newly arrived official. What does that tell you, Vicky? God called my son an official. My son is in heaven. He met a newly arrived official. And when you think about it, God could have given that message to anyone. He could have given it to you, to Direct, or to any of my friends. But He chose to give that vehicle to my friend, to Chai, my praying partner. Why? There's a reason. Alam mo si God, when He moves, palagi may reason yan eh. He had to give it to her because nobody will research the meaning of God 529. For all you know, hindi pa nga yan pinansin eh. Baka wala pa nakapansin eh. But when you have this very personal relationship with God, everything to you is so sensitive. Everything that comes to you, may meaning na pala. Sometimes you see a rainbow, hindi naman pinapansin na rainbow. But because you're so personal, you have a relationship with God, to you, rainbow, wow, it's a promise kagad, di ba? So, that plate number was given to my friend to explain to me that, hey, ano bang pakinagagalit mo? Isn't it every goal of every mother, isn't it every dream of every mother, na one day yung anak mo makasama si God? O ito na yung pinagdadasal mo, kasama ko na. What are you so upset about? He even called my son an official. And he said, God meets a newly arrived official. God personally met my son. Hindi siya nagpadala ng angels, hindi siya nagpadala ng santo. He personally met my son and He wanted me to know that. Now, What is the proof that this message is for me? Baka naman inimbento lang to ni Chai, baka naman gumawa lang siya ng mga meaning, trying to put things together. No, the message is for me. Why? Direct, can we put back the plate number, please? I will explain to the viewers. Okay. If you will look at the plate number, no, what are the odds that if you call Grab has so many cars. I'm in the food business now. Every time we call Grab and Lala Move, iba-ibang kotse dumadating eh. It could be a Toyota, a Sentra, a Vios, it could any car. So number one, it's white. Number two, what are the chances na ang kotseng susundo sa friend ko is a Suzuki? Suzuki car. Do you see the letter S in the middle of the...
Yes.
S is my initial. S for Sheila, S for Suntay. This message is for me. This
Mami
message,
Sheila, kinikilabutan ako.
sweetheart,
I'm getting
529.
goosebumps right now.
I know. That's why I know this message is for me. 529 in the plate number. 5 is May in terms of months. 29 minus 5 is 24. That is my son's birthday, May 24.
Okay.
The S that you say, kasi God pinili talaga Suzuki. It had to be
Oo nga.
because the S here in the side, yung may color red na S. My husband was in politics for 20 years. That S is his font in all his political shirts. Yan ang font na ginagamit niya, and red has been his political color the last 20 years. Tell me this message is not for me. This cannot be a coincidence. God wanted me to know, hey, ano ba kinagagalit mo? Inaaway mo ko, magkasama na kami. I mean, Ricky, don't you dream for your children to be with God one day? Of course, not this soon, but at the end of it all, we don't dream for them to be doctors and big celebrities and to be billionaires. We don't care about that eh. At the end of the day, we want our children to be in the kingdom of God. That is the end goal.
Mami Sheila, these signs, did they give you comfort? Natuloy ba yung eulogy na binabalak mong ibigay?
Yes! Ricky, my God, the next day, I gave a testimony. While my children and Bong were, of course, crying and, talagang grieving and all, yung sa akin, hindi nga naging eulogy eh. What I gave was not a eulogy. What I gave as a living testimony that God is real. That yes, God is faithful. Totoo yung sinabi niya sa 529. God is faithful. He promised me He was gonna take my whole family and to be with Him. Alam mo, nauna lang si Renzo. At the end of that day, lahat naman talaga tayo susunod eh. Nauna lang si Renzo. And I know God has His reasons. I'm not saying it's okay He took my son. I don't think I'll ever reach that point in saying na okay lang kinuha mo yung anak ko. It will never be okay. But I'm trying to understand it and I'm trying to be one with Him. Now, you can always choose to wallow in your sadness and in your pain. But I chose to rise above my pain. I chose to cherish the most important gift that God has given me, and that is life itself. And I will use the death of my son to bring life to others who are suffering the way he did. That is my choice.
Mami Sheila, I know that you were, I'm grateful that, you were able to find comfort in the message of God. Parang it was such a turnaround, diba? Nung nakita mo yung message na yon, it was a complete turnaround for you. But does that mean that you were able to overcome your grief right away?
No, of course not.
How did you cope with the grief?
Yeah,
Kasi I'm sure, even now, like you said, diba? Parang hindi naman agad-agad eh. You will never, you haven't reached that point, nor you think that you would reach that point when you completely accept the will of God, So, how long did it take you to deal with your grief? How was it for you? How did you overcome it?
Yeah. I turned to alcohol. Sadly, naging alcoholic ako. I turned to sleeping pills. Yan yung medyo naging BFF ko in those days. In fact, I think I went through depression. Now, it doesn't mean that just because God comforted me, okay na ako, back to normal. No. In fact, it's 2 years, Vicky. I still find myself crying. As you can see, I just talk about it. Umiiyak na ako. And every time I talk about it, I still cry. His birthday, his anniversary. You can count on the fact wala akong kakausapin. I'm really still wallowing in my grief. But it came to a point. I have this little girl. But the time, now she's going 14. But I think at the time she was only 11. When Renzo passed on. My husband decided to take us on a short vacation. We went to Siargao. Nag-beach muna kami. I think it was 3 or 4 months after Renzo passed on. And I was just drinking and drinking. And then one night, we were in the duyan. Everyone was asleep. It was late. Me and my daughter were there. We were making kwento. She asked me and said, Mom, are you an alcoholic? Syempre, in denial ka. So I said, oh my God, sweetheart, do you know what alcoholics are? They wake up drinking, they sleep drinking, and in between their days, they're just drinking. They do not go to work anymore. Wala na, puro alcohol na lang nasa utak nila. Yan ang alcoholic. I'm not one. But my daughter said, Mom, parang you just described yourself because you don't go to work anymore. In fact, your staff keeps coming to the house kasi you don't go to the office, nagpapadala ng cheque to sign, the sweldo, ganyan. Parang I'm just always so drinking the whole day. Next, I cried. It was really a turning point for me because I realized, while it is true that I am suffering and so much pain, it does not give you an excuse to do this to your children. May mga anak ka pa eh. Parang I realized, hey, nakalimutan ko, may anak pa ako. I wallowed in my pain. It even came to a point, I don't know kung na-depressed na rin ako because I was seeing doctors na the time. I went to a psychiatrist, a psychologist, and a counselor. I really had a whole team of people working with. And all they could say is, Sheila, be very careful with your grief because grief and depression could be borderline. Baka daw mapunta na ako sa depression. Tapos when Vicky, alam mo, iniisip ko when my doctor said that, na-realize ko, ganun ba kasakit yung depression? Nawalan ako ng anak eh. Hindi pa ba to depression? And the doctor said, no, you are grieving. Depression is 10 times more painful than grief, than losing a loved one.
Wow.
Yeah. Kaya sabi ko, wow, ganun ba sin... That's why they tend to take their lives away because the pain is so unbearable. So that was how I dealt with my grief. No, it's not something I encourage because nasasaktan na the people around you, but that was my turning point. I realized, hey, I have other children and they are watching you. Your children are watching you. They may be keeping quiet, but it doesn't mean hindi nila alam. So I told myself, enough. Ayoko na. In fact, I remember I gained 13 or 15 pounds, Vicky, in a span of 30 days. Yung first 30 days ko, and parang hindi na ako makahinga kasi small bones ako eh. I was never really fat in my whole life, but when Renzo passed on, parang yung sabi ni Doc JM kanina, pag depression, either, basta eating disorder, either hindi ka na kumakain or susobra na yung kain mo. I think what happened to me, people who couldn't go to the wake would send food all the time to the house. So palagi yung kitchen ko punong-puno ng pagkain, and you know how I would eat, Vicky? So magpapadala sila ng kalyos, there's paella, there's ganyan-ganyan. Pagbaba ko, actually before I go down, I will call, basta pagkagising ko, I will intercom na mayaya. Yaya, yung gin ko. Tapos sasabihin niya, Ma'am, kakagising niyo pa lang. My helpers are like family to me. They're family ko na sila. But at the time, kasi sa galit ko, sabi ko pa nga, Yaya, ikaw ba amo dito? Gusto mo, ikaw na magpapayad sa ng mga sweldo. Ako amo,
Because
diba?
kay Yaya, no? Talagang concerned din siya.
Yeah, concerned din naman.
Siguro, Mami Sheila, I'd like to call back Doc JM.
Yes.
Because I'm sure we have other parents who are watching now who have lost a child also, maybe not necessarily from suicide.
Yes.
We have our viewers who have lost a loved one.
Yeah.
Maybe I think we can call back Doc JM. Doc? Hi, Doc.
Hi, Doc.
Doc,
Hi po.
what will be your advice for those who have lost a loved one, just like Mommy Sheila did?
Okay. Sa Philippines kasi, yung bereavement time kasi natin medyo mahaba-haba, no? Compared on other countries, no? Sa ibang bansa kasi, if they lost someone, mataas na yung isang buwan sa kanila. Pero dito sa Philippines kasi, minsan naabot ng 6 months, no? And sometimes, aabot din ng 1 year, no? So, what I can actually advise lang talaga is to, accept the pain, acceptance is actually the key talaga to everything,
Yes.
no? It may not be as a easy journey, no? Marami ka talagang pagdadaanan, talagang hirap, lungkot, no? Sometimes medyo may iba ka pang tao masasaktan along the way, no? But once you reach that destination na natanggap mo na talaga, it will be a lot easier talaga, no? So, swerte ni Sheila because she has family, no? na to
Yes.
support her, no? She has four loving kids pa who supports her, a loving husband who's there, na alam nila na kahit hindi madali at hindi mabilis sa nangyari sa kanya, and they're just there, no, na nagsusupport lang sa kanya. So I think malaking factor talaga yung family,
Yes,
in
agree.
terms of,
Totally agree.
yes, so family. And then like I always encourage sa mga ibang tao, it depends kasi yan kung saan yung strength mo eh. If someone has for example, like kay Sheila, yung strength niya is her family. So doon siya kumukuha ng lakas,
Yes,
yung
agree.
hugot, no? Some people has more, their strength is in their faith, no? So pag ganon, doon ka kukuha ng lakas mo. So kanya-kanya ano yan. So what we do is we go into therapy, we ask them of course, no, kung ano yung naramdaman nila, kung paano sila ano tingin nila yung strength nila at sa weaknesses nila, and then from there we make plans kung paano magagawa at paano nila makaka-recover.
Okay.
Oo.
Paano pala, Doc JM, yung mga taong wala makausap? Kasi actually, we have a letter sender. I think papasok natin dito yung kanyang question. She's completely alone. She's isolated. She doesn't talk to her parents. Her parents are alive, but they're not in good terms. So she reached out to us to ask us, how would she deal with it? She has nobody else to talk to. That's why she said in her letter, she felt more comfortable opening up to us because we are strangers. And she was so afraid of judgment from others.
Okay. Yang ganyan, no, I salute her, no, because it's actually brave. It's brave for her, no, to admit and to come up, no, and to go to us na humingi siya ng tulong, because una-una, ang daming tao, no, once if you're undergoing depression, wala eh, ayaw mong magpatulong na ibang tao, ayaw mong magsabi, parang meron ka sariling world mo eh. And for her, of doing this, no, it's actually a big step, no, for her to reach out, no. I strongly suggest there's a lot of kung wala kang mapagsabihan na kaibigan or even your family, I suggest marami mga support groups, no, be it online or even kay Sheila, no, may support group siya na pwede siya tawagan na para lang to listen, no. Una-una is kailangan talaga may taong makikinig talaga sa'yo, no?
Okay.
And then ito yung start eh. Pag may nakinig sa'yo, and then that's actually the start of your journey now of healing.
Okay. Thank you, Doc. Mommy Sheila, thank you also for being brave to, and being so raw, so that others who are going through the same thing as you are or as you did, they will know and realize they're not alone. And there's nothing to be embarrassed about, that they are actually going through these things. And like what Doc said, it's never too late. There's
Yes.
always a way to heal. Diba?
And also just to share, no, because I'm sure a lot of you or a lot of our viewers could relate, yung mga nagagalit kay God and all. I feel you, I hear you, I went through it. But if in case God has not answered you, alam mo si God, minsan may sense of humor talaga yan. Hindi mo na alam, you cannot understand him eh. But, hindi mo maintindihan si God. But it's good we don't understand God, because if we understood Him, edi God na rin tayo. So talaga we can. But I can assure you, He is there, He is listening. He is never too early or too late. He is always on time. So kung natatagalan kayo, hindi pa kasi on time, kaya hindi pa nasasagot. But believe me, He will answer you. So when people...
In its perfect time.
Tinatanong sa akin ng mga tao, ano ba yan? Nawalan ka na ng anak, naniniwala ka pa kay God. And where do you think God was when all of this was happening? My answer to that, God was at the exact same place where He was when Jesus died. He never left. He never left. Hindi nga niya iniwan si Jesus, dahil hindi niya iiwan yung anak ko. Anak din naman niya si Benzo. So, to all our viewers who are struggling with their faith, go back, just try, baby steps, one day at a time. Just count on the fact that God was there. He's listening.
Thank you, Mommy Sheila. Thank you, Doc. Sorry, feedback kasi to, so medyo nalilito ako. But technical difficulties. Mabuti na lang we have something to blame on. Technical difficulties. Pasensya na po kayo. But we will get back to you guys later on. This time around, we would like to hear from someone who actually went through depression as a teen. We heard her story last Sunday, but now she will talk about how she actually overcame her depression, what she did, all these steps that she took. And joining us back is Miss Jerica Ejercito Aguilar, a mother of four beautiful boys, a wife to Mikel, an entrepreneur with her local brand of skincare products. She was vital to the passage of the bill on mental health, which is now known as the Mental Health Law. Guys, let's welcome back Miss Jerica Ejercito Aguilar. Hi, Ika.
Hi, I made it.
Hi.
Hi.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for rushing back
Of
so that we can help more people today.
Yes.
So, Ika, last week you briefly touched on what you went through when your father, of course, our former President Joseph Estrada, was ousted early in 2000, 2002.
Yes.
First of all, siguro I would like to ask because for everyone else who maybe they don't know you, you're a girl who has everything, diba? When did you realize that you were actually struggling? Parang what is there to struggle about? You're Jerica Ejercito. Nasa iyo na ang lahat. Maganda, matalino, mayaman. When did you realize that you were actually struggling?
That's another misconception. No? So, I was also very much in denial because, oh nga naman, bakit ba ako made-depress? I have everything. I grew up in a, comfortable family, ganyan. I can travel whenever I want. So, for a while, I was also very much in denial. But I guess I reached the point where what I was feeling, I cannot deny anymore because I literally wanted to end my life. Just like what Mommy Sheila was saying, depression is really, it's really a dark hole that you just want to get out of it. And the only way to get out of it is to end it. So when I reached that point, not once, but twice, I knew that if I don't do anything about it, and if the third time comes around, that's probably going to be the one where I really just end everything. So I really had to make a choice if I was going to do something about it. Diba? So that's when I had to really start digging deep as to what was happening with me. Because Ricky, I mean, you were a witness to this, okay?
Mm-mm.
Let me tell you, okay? I have been, I went through self-medication, substance abuse. I have been in toxic relationships.
Mhm.
You attract your tribe. I was very broken, and therefore I will attract broken relationships because we are on the same wavelength. And I was in a very toxic relationship where abuse was the norm, whether may it be substance, verbal, physical, or whatever it may be. That was the norm of the relationship because my head was just on that wavelength. It was so normal to me because I felt like that was what I deserved. Anxiousness, depression, the root cause of these two is fear of embarrassment, fear that I will not be able to be good enough, fear that, fear of everything, fear of what people might think of me. So, when you fear all these things, you get so anxious. And then when you don't deal with that, it just escalates into this deep, dark hole that is depression. So I had to really acknowledge that fear that I had inside. It was really like you can say like a spiritual heart surgery. I needed to dig deep and really ask myself, what am I so scared of? Why am I so, stuck in this hole where I accept all this kinds of abuse that is happening around me? And then eventually I realized it was because I was longing for
my identity. Parang I felt like I was very unstable kasi my identity was not anchored. My identity was anchored on things that are changeable. Like career or like status or my weight, my looks, when I got pregnant with my first child, I gained 80 pounds. So if my identity is anchored to how I look, when my weight fluctuates, my identity fluctuates along with it. If my identity is anchored to my status, pag nawala yung status ko. So that's where I realized that I was very unstable. I was very unstable because my identity was unstable. That's when, like Mommy Sheila said, God will continue to pursue you until you make him pansin. And I guess the sad part here is, for us, God is always the last resort. Kumbaga, we'll try everything else first. We'll try alcohol. Yes, kasi masarap yan. We'll escape. We'll try drugs. Yes, because we always want to, remember what I said, we don't want to feel pain. So anything that relieves us from pain, we will take it, whether it be alcohol, drugs, whether it be a toxic relationship, we will take it. Once we are fed up and we realize, okay, this is not helping me, that's the only time we will turn to God. Kasi God, I am out of options here, and you know what? I'm gonna give you a try. so so I reached that point where, you know what, iluluhod ko na to. I have no options left. And that's when I realized that, I can go on and on and on in circles and do therapy and all of this. But if my identity is not established in something that is permanent, like God's goodness, then, I will forever be searching for something. Because I felt like when I was depressed, I was always in search of something. Parang I'm not content. Parang lagi ako may hinahabol. Lagi ako may hinahanap. But finally, when I surrendered everything to God, it gave me such peace. And when I allowed that peace to take over my life, parang I finally was able to breathe. So all of these things that I mentioned, alcoholism, substance abuse, toxic relationships, these are all just manifestations. We can look at it in a micro level, like what we're doing now. My journey through substance abuse, my journey through alcoholism. But if we look at it in a macro level, you will understand what is happening to our country. I'll ask you, and I'll ask our panel and everyone who's watching right now, have you ever met a child that has told you, Tita Ricky, alam mo, when I grow up, my dream, paglaki ko, gusto ko maging drug addict. Or when I grow up, my dream is to be a rapist. Yeah. And when I grow up, after I rape, I want to rot in Bilibid prison. This, have you heard? Wala eh. Who would dream to be an addict? What I'm trying to say here is, let us stop focusing on the wrong things. These are manifestation. There's a reason why these people decided to self-destruct. Something happened along the way for them to turn out the way they did. Diba? So as a mother, as a citizen of this country, it is our duty now to understand why. Right? Diba? So we can continue to talk, but if you really look at it in a bigger scale, what is the current state of our country is a direct reflection of the mental state of our society. Because the way we criminalize all these things. Sabi nga ni Bernie Sanders, addiction is not a criminal issue, it's a health issue. But to be honest, addiction is not a criminal issue, it's a mental health issue. So is every other crimes, because no one would ever dream to turn out like that. So for me, mental health really has to start at home. at the end of the day, that's what I'm trying to say here. Na,
Oo.
this is all like perpetuated by what is happening in at home. So really, because thoughts are real. Your mind, your thoughts, that's where it all starts, diba? First you think about it, and then you say it, and then you act on it.
Mm-mm.
So we really have to focus on the mental state of our children.
Okay. Ika,
So, yes.
you mentioned a while ago that, there were twice in your life that you actually considered suicide.
Yes.
I can only imagine, no, na must have been like a nightmare, such a dark pit hole of a nightmare. How did you snap out of it? Kasi I'm sure most of our viewers now who are going through something, medyo baka wala pa sila dun sa level na, they will turn to God. But would you remember what first made you snap out of that terrible nightmare?
Parang, when I wanted to kill myself, I just wanted relief. I didn't want to die. I wanted the pain to stop. So parang for me, I actually want to live. It's just that it was way too painful to keep going.
Oo.
So I had to reconcile that in my head na ano ba, gusto mo bang mamatay? Gusto mo bang mabuhay? I want to live. Yun nga lang, ang sakit.
Oo.
So it's either I end it or I fight for my life. How? By really trying to figure out what in the world is happening in my head. Because everyone keeps telling me, si Ika, depressed. Bakit? Ako, she's just so spoiled. Matigas na talaga ulo niya. Tsaka, she's just selfish. She just thinks about herself. But really, at the time, I was trying to cope. I was trying to cope with all the things that is happening in my head by drinking, by bad company, because I'm trying to escape. Escape the fear that I was feeling inside, the anxiousness, the depression. So the point where I decided to fight was when I said I want to live. I needed to find a way to live my life without, this debilitating thoughts. When I wanted to kill myself, like I said, I didn't want to die. I wanted the pain to stop. So there's a difference there. I didn't want to die. I wanted the pain to stop. It was just too much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Paano ka nagising? Paano mo naisip na, okay, ayoko talaga magpakamatay. Diba?
I guess kasi I'm very introspective. Naturally, masyado ko maraming monologue in my brain. So I'm very introspective talaga. So I really can talk to myself and really analyze my thoughts. So for me to reach that point, talagang I was at the end of it all. It was either I end it na or I choose to fight. And I said, Ika, if you choose to fight, you fight with everything you have. And that is when, kaya ka naging mental health advocate eh, kasi I gave it my all. My mind, my energy, my spirit, my body, everything I did, mental health. Everything I talked about, mental health. Because it was part of my healing. It was part of my recovery. It was part of my discovery. It was part of my spiritual journey. So for me, if you really want to get better, you can. It's a choice. And you fight with everything you have.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's really just, it goes back to mind over matter.
Yes. But I will also refer back to what Doc JM was saying, na not everyone has the same, alam mo yon, upbringing eh. Kasi nasa sayo din yan. It's very subjective. I cannot say that what I did will work for everyone else. Kasi kanya-kanya yan eh. Kanya-kanyang strategy. It's a personal journey. But for me, that's what happened to me. And basically, what I'm trying to say is there is hope. There's really hope.
Ika, you also touched on something that I'm sure a lot of our viewers are very interested in. We don't have to go to details. But, ang isa sa pinakamalaking problema ngayon ng mundo, bukod sa pandemic, of course, pero, as individuals, Sabi nga, di ba, love can move mountains, but it can also break mountains. It's about love life. So you said that you were in a toxic relationship.
Parang biglang uminit ah.
How did you actually realize that you were in a toxic relationship? Paano yun, di ba, ang daming nating mga viewers ngayon that, they're together with somebody, but they don't realize that, it's a toxic relationship na pala. Na this is actually affecting their mental health and well-being.
I only realized that I was in a very toxic relationship the moment I realized my worth in Christ. When I started giving myself to Jesus and I realized, oh my gosh, I do not deserve this kind of treatment. You know what I mean? But without my faith, for me kasi, I've been like that throughout my early 20s. But because I was away. I was in Europe. So, I didn't have my parents, so for me, that life was so normal, very toxic, very magulo, very, all these guys that are also just as broken as me. So for me, it was normal. Normal lang na nagmumurahan, more normal lang na drinking and smoking. It was so normal. But the moment I realized my worth in Jesus, the moment I gave myself, I allowed myself and I accepted that, then I was strong enough to say, I don't deserve this. I don't deserve this treatment. It's done. Yeah.
Being in your toxic relationship, ano ba yung mga signs na it's really a toxic relationship? Does it need to be, there should be a physical manifestation na kailangan ba binubugbog ka? Of course, that's the, diba, extreme side of toxicity.
Abuse is very complex. First of all, may mental abuse, may verbal abuse. Extreme na yung dalawa. May extreme na yung sexual abuse tsaka yung physical abuse. But the first two, minsan pagka medyo mababa ang self-worth ng isang babae, you will take it. You will take the verbal abuse. Minsan lalaban ka pa papatulan mo pa You will take the mental abuse. You will take it if he's running around with all these women. Ganyan, tatanggapin mo pa yan Basta, if your self-worth is rooted in that relationship, you will keep accepting it. Pero if you find your worth in Christ, your identity is rooted in something that is so permanent and unchangeable, hindi ka matatakot na iwan yung toxic relationship na yan because you are more than that relationship. Mind you, I already had a child then. So I wanted to make that work so badly because I wanted a family. I wanted that unit, which I have naman. But everyone in this country know that ours is very special setup. Diba? I'll call it that na lang. Special setup. I wanted mine yung talagang normal. So I was fighting so much. And I know there are women there who would say, para sa anak ko, I will stay with this guy. Para sa anak ko, I will fight for this relationship. Yes, I have been there. But then if in the expense of your mental health and spiritual health, no way. I have to be first okay as a mom to be able to parent my child well. And when I realized that this relationship was really bad already for my mental state, I couldn't function as a woman, and therefore I couldn't function as a mother. Sabi ko, okay, that's it. End of. Ayoko na. I want to save myself and save my son.
Okay. Siguro at this point, no, we can call back Doc JM. Kasi ito talaga yung medyo maraming mga letter senders natin. Ito yung source of their grief and depression and love life. Oo. So, si Doc JM?
Hi.
Hi, Doc!
Okay.
Ayan, si Doc, ano yan? Walang toxic relationship yan. Very happy ang love life niya.
After hearing Ika's, parang wala na akong masabi na lang.
I love you, Doc.
parang, wala eh. Parang, she embodies how a woman should be eh. She should be someone who's strong, yung alam mo yung worth mo as a person, no? Alam mo kung ano yung gusto mo, mga wants and needs mo sa buhay. Kasi basically that's just it eh. Kung if you know your worth as a person and then ipaglalaban mo to, then walang abuse na mangyayari eh. Pero pag if you don't know your worth, then mahihirapan ka talaga.
Yeah, but I was not always like this,
Yeah.
Doc J. I want to virtually hug you.
Of course.
I had to go through all of that to reach this point. That's why I said once you reach that point where you find and anchor your identity and your self-worth, you will not compromise it for nobody. Yes.
Okay,
That's
Doc,
true.
may phone-in question tayo. Paano daw matatawag na toxic relationship? She's doing it for love. Mahal daw niya.
Ikaw na yan, Doc. Ikaw na yan.
Okay. Well, una-una, masaya ka ba? Yun ang tanong eh. Masaya ka ba sa relationship ngayon? Oo. Kung if it's just love alone, you cannot hindi ka mabubuhay because of love alone eh. It has to be, you have to have all the ingredients of happiness, dapat yung peace of mind, dapat yung contentment nandoon, dapat nandoon yung parang yung balance of everything, no? So if it's just love, if you just put love lang as the basis of your relationship, then hindi dapat ganun. Kasi like what Ika said, kailangan i-anchor mo on something na alam mo yung worth mo as a person. Kasi if you do not do that, then talagang ma-lost in transition ka sa lahat. No? Paano malaman paano siya naging toxic? Kung hindi ka na bina-value ng taong to, una-una, no? And along the way sa relationship na to, you lost yourself, no? Pangatlo is di maiiwasan, may mga tao na kaibigan, nag-a-advise sa'yo na ganito, ganyan. If everyone is advising you na ganito, then upuan mo, pag-isipan mo. Kasi, if you're so into that relationship kasi, nakakalimutan mo na, no? Lahat-lahat eh. So, people around you would notice na hindi na siya maganda for you. So you should listen. Hindi naman porket dahil ganito ganyan, pero uupuan mo siya, pag-isipan mo. Kung talagang feeling mo talaga na ganito ganyan, tsaka mo siya kasi there's actually a lot of red flags in every relationship eh. Of course, no? Yes, pag may mga 4 or 5 red flags ka na nakikita, then pag-isipan mo na talaga. Actually, 3 nga lang, pwede na yung basis as toxic relationship eh. Yung una-una yung abuses, pangalawa is of course yung they don't treat you right, no? Mga ganun mga red flags, mabilis lang yung hanapin. So, yun ang magiging basis mo talaga. What I do sa mga patients ko is I always make them a list, no? Yung mga pros and cons kasi pag verbal lang kasi nakakalimutan nila yan eh. So usually assignment yan sa next session natin, you make a list, yung pros and cons na relationship ninyo. List down everything. And then pag nakita mo na siya on paper, no, at nababasa mo na siya, doon mo pa ma-realize na oo nga, toxic relationship na nga ito.
Okay. So Doc, pag ganyan, halimbawa, di ba, nakita nila yung pros and cons. Nakita nila, I'm in a toxic relationship. What would be the first step that they should take? Ang alam ko naman, di ba, mahirap kalaban ng puso. Di ba? So, like our phone in question, mahal daw niya yung tao. Ano yung talagang step na pwede niyang gawin? Do you advise them to, separate first from each other? Magkaroon ba muna sila ng cool-off time?
Okay. Meron tayong tinatawag na couples therapy. No? So, kung if needed siya, if you want to work the relationship, kailangan ka pupunta sa couples therapy and then pag-uusapan ano yung mga issues, if there's ways to resolve the issues, no? Kung talagang wala talaga, dun mo kasi may realize along the process of your therapy na kung talagang worth it ba to relationship or not, no? So pangalawa is, well, kung talagang like what Ika said, kung talagang ganun ka-strong na and then you'd realize it na hindi na siya worth it, then pwede nyo pag-usapan and kung hindi na talaga kaya, then iwan mo na.
Yes.
Right.
Can I, yeah. Another thing that I realized in a toxic relationship, the thing that I asked also is, does this relationship bring out the best in me or the worst in me? When I was in a toxic relationship, everything that was negative about me, because I'm only human, that was negative about me was highlighted. My addiction, my temper, my impatience, lahat yun na-highlight. That relationship brought out the worst part of who I was, of who I am. Okay? When I finally was given the chance to be in a healthy relationship, I thrived. I thrived as a woman. I thrived as a mother. I thrived as a daughter. So you have to also ask, ano ba, who am I in this relationship? Is it bringing out the worst in me or the best in me? Diba? And if you want to stay in that kind of environment na puro abuse and ganyan, and that person is not helping you grow and thrive, then honey, diba? Choice, that's it. That's a choice that you have made.
True!
Ako, okay, kayo na pa may pumapalakpak dito.
Yeah!
Kanina pa may pumapalakpak dito. Oh, wow! Ang galing ng ating technical staff ngayon. May
Balik
palakpak
pa rin sa
tayo.
sinabi ni Doc JM, self-worth, self-identity, yun talaga Yun talaga babagsak yun.
Okay.
Yes.
Ako, Ika, thank you so much for sharing. Of course,
you.
we'll have you back. And of course, Doc, thank you also. Standby lang, Doc, ha? Dahil ang dami natin mga phone-in questions ngayon. Ito nga, excited na siya magsalita. Our next speaker naman. Okay. So, Direk, may mga comments ba tayo dito ngayon?
Yes, we have greetings from people, from viewers. Okay, wait lang. Saan eh?
Akala ko pa naman excited na siya
Ayan.
magsalita.
Hi, nag-hi from Jerry and Hercito. Hi, JM. Ayan. And also hi to Ricky Mata.
Hi, Jerry.
Ayan. Jerry is watching us now. Okay, so overwhelmed. Ayan. From Sophia. Ayan. And also from June. Serrano Bayani. They're watching. Yeah, Cheska D, hello. Everyone's watching. Actually, sobrang ang dami na-inspire sa ating live webinar.
Nako, Direk, ready ka na ba mag-inspire ng more people? Because okay, isa-segue ko na po siya, ha?
Mamaya na, wait lang.
Wala nang wait. Ano yan? Strike when the iron is hot, as you always say.
Miktinib.
Okay na ba, Direk? Mukhang pinapatagal lang niya, ha? Buying time, pero hindi na natin papatagalin pa. Because our next speaker, ladies and gentlemen, she is the 2020 JCI San Juan Pinaglaban President. Kinabahan siya bigla. Pero nakarelate siya kanina kay Ika sa kanyang mga shinare.
Pero mamaya na yan.
And she was a finalist in The Voice Philippines Season 2. She's a successful entrepreneur with her own printing, publishing, and merchandising company, and a known advocate of several causes, including animal welfare, children in need, and also mental wellness. And without further ado, of course, she's also an icon of the LGBT community. So without further ado, she's our director also today. We'd like to call on stage, concert lang talaga ang dating. Miss Rita Martinez.
Hi everyone. Hi Ricky.
Hi Rita. So bakit grabe ang palakpak mo doon sa sharing ni Ika? You know, when people see you like, you've been one of my best friends, you're always so jolly. Actually, jolly na tahimik kung may ganun ba. Yung tahimik lang, pero chill lang lagi. Alam mo yun? lahat, kaibigan ng lahat. Nobody would ever think that you also went through a rough patch in your life, that to the point also that you were actually depressed.
Well, yeah. Um, but I'm sure Jerica can also relate. Um, it's also hard to. Well, it was difficult for me at first. Syempre, the younger years, it was difficult to balance. Um, Syempre, there's the family, we have the friends, and people expecting so much from you. Syempre, kahit ngayon sa pinapanood ko nga sa Vampire Diaries, diba? If, let's say, you show good, I mean, you be good, or show people that you're good, people expect good from you. So, lalo na, let's say, like kayo, you guys are celebrities, and ang hirap magkamali eh. Pag nagkamali ka, may nasabi sa'yo, and people, they don't understand what you're really going through. Which is, tayong lahat naman talaga tao eh. Lahat tayo may pinagdadaan. Nagkakamali din tayo. Minsan, napapansin lang kasi medyo kilala, pero hindi ibig sabihin na hindi namin pinagdadaanan yung pinagdadaanan. So, okay.
So Rita, maalaala mo kaya?
Kaya sabi ko, huwag muna.
Okay, direct Rita.
Yeah.
How old were you or how young were you when you first realized that you were struggling with something mentally and emotionally?
I was as early as 7 years old. Yeah, I was 7 when I first felt the issues. I would get complaints from school because of my preference. That's number one. And it's a very sensitive topic, according to Dr. JM also. Well, it is. It's a very sensitive topic, and daming branches na eh. But it wasn't private. When I was around 7 or 8, ayun, parang, kasi ako, as a kid, kahit sa mga bata rin, ang mga bata, ang alam lang nila kung nakikita sila, uy, kalaro, ganyan. Wala, color, gender is never an issue with kids. Usually, dapat naman ganun talaga tayo mag-step. Pero, as we grow older, andyan yung norms, andyan yung mga expectations ng mga tao. So, yun. So,
Pakantayin na lang kayo natin si Direk Rita ngayon. And then, Direk, I know that it's it's a very brave of you to come out with your struggles also kasi hindi naman madali yan. Marami nga tayo mga kaibigan na nahihiya na okay, naku, baka isipin nila na hindi ako normal or baka they will look down on me kasi I'm going through something. But you've been very vocal about it also when you were in ABS-CBN also, that you were going through a lot of struggles.
But it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy to be really vocal. It took me years to really open up.
What made you finally be open? Because I think, number one also in addressing mental health is to be aware, to recognize your own pains, to recognize your own struggles. What point in your life were you able to finally accept it, recognize it, and acknowledge it?
At one point, kasi syempre, kung ano yung pinagdadaanan ng bawat bata. Diba? Parang syempre, we were all very sensitive when we were younger. Syempre, everything was new. Everything was like, ha? Parang wait lang, wala namang ginagawang masama eh. Kahit kunyari, sa tingin mo na wala ka namang tinatamaan or binabang ng ibang tao, minsan you realize that you learned that along the way. But at that one point, when I realized I was in my 20s.
So from 7 years old up to your 20s, you were already going through something.
Yes.
Oh, but it took you what? Almost 2 decades.
Yeah. It took me a long time to actually realize, as like what Jerica said, your worth. Minsan marirealize mo yan at your lowest. Alam mo yun na minsan na parang naisip ko. I actually tried committing suicide several times. Pero nung nandun na ako, ang daming ways eh, diba? Ang daming parang, we're not gonna consider it anymore. But again, once you're there, you have to listen to your inner self. Parang, kunyari, andyan na yung pills. Parang, painkillers na nag-overdose. May mga ganong cases before. I tried that. So, when I was holding the bottle, nagkulong ako sa luto na. Hawak ko yung bote, ayan eh. Parang it was parang decision ko na kung gagawin ko. Pero there's this little voice, this small voice in you na parang kinwestiyon ko, hindi ko rin talaga yan, wait lang. Isipin mo yung parents mo. Ano mo nila? Isipin mo yung boy mo. Baka naman after things will get better, things will be better. So, when I was in the dilemma, andun ako sa dilemma niya, I chose to listen to that small voice in me. At siguro kasi, you guys have to be grateful also kung anong mga meron kayo. Like ako, I can sing. Ako, hindi sila, I'm not a bad singer at the time. Pero ako, siguro, baka kapag ginawa ko to, maging mas okay yung buhay ko. So, I listened to that small voice. Sobrang faint lang, hindi mo siya masyadong mapansin. Pero pansinin niyo yun. Because kung tinuloy ko yun, I wouldn't be where I am now. Which ako, I'm also thankful sa lahat ng mga pinagdaanan ko. Kasi minsan you have to go through the lowest of the low for you to realize your strengths, your worth. Doon mo makikita eh. So, give yourself a chance also. Bigyan niyo yung sarili niyo ng pagkakataon na ma-recognize niyo talaga kung ano yung sa tingin niyo worth niyo before you decide on something. Well, I was covering one topic about the suicide and also sa pinagdadaanan ng experiences. Kasi lahat tayo may pinagdadaanan. Lahat naman ng tao may pinagdadaanan. Pero hindi siya nasa-solve. There will always be a solution there. Everything can be resolved. But
What was your outlet?
Music.
Okay.
And sports. Yeah, sports yan before when I was younger. Kasi ko, baka I can do martial arts. I did martial arts. Music, sabi ko, maybe I can play the drums. Kasi dami lang makakulong sa house eh. My parents were very strict. I would always just be at home. So, kung ano yung makita ko dyan, baka I play the drums, I play the guitar, I sing alone in my room, ganun. That was my outlet. Ang ginagawa ko, would blast music sa room ko. Ganun lang, small things, that helps.
So, find an outlet.
Pansinin din yun yung mga maliit na bagay na alam niyo makakatulong sa inyo.
Okay. Siguro ibalik na natin yung... Okay. Thank you, Direk. Thank you. But don't leave the screen because you're bringing back, of course, Sheila Santay.
Yes. Mama
Sheila.
Sheila.
Mommy Ika. At ang pinakamaganda sa aming lahat, Doc JM.
Hi!
We're back.
Hi, guys.
Hi. Well,
Okay.
una-una, I wanna give a hug to Direk Sobra,
Yes.
to everyone. No?
Love you, Direk.
I'm super blessed na talaga, super blessed na to have, to be with this strong individual now, no? Kasi wala, I'm lost for words sa sobrang strong ninyo lahat, kaya wala akong maano kundi virtual hug to everyone.
Yes, I want to hug everyone.
Virtual hug.
Okay. Naku, si Doc JM, feeling ko kaya rin naging mental health advocate. Baka may pinagdaanan din siya. Pero I think that's for another webinar. Because ang sabi nila, masalimuot ang ating next topic. It's so complex, it's so wide. Diba? Just, LGBT, how it affects mental health, bullying, how it affects your kids, and can leave imperceptible scars. Nagamit ko yung ating title ngayon. And speaking of kids, I think to give us, kasi most of our viewers are parents also, really, kung ano ba talaga yung nasa puso at isip ngayon ng mga kabataan, we actually have the Mixing Youth Organization because they came up with a survey among all their peers as to what's the most important, kung ano yung pinaka-importante mga issues and questions that they have right now to address their mental health wellness also. So, hindi na natin patatagalin. I'd like to call the founder of Mixing Youth Organization, Chrissy Matay.
Yay!
Hi,
Yay!
Chrissy.
Hi, Chris.
Hi.
Hi, Chrissy.
Chrissy.
Chrissy. Hi.
Hi.
Chrissy, can you hear us? I'm
Yeah.
live namin sa isa't isa. So, Chrissy, di ba, Nicktinig is a youth organization that what? It's an avenue for the kids to express themselves. And I think we did a survey to help our webinar today. What are the common questions that your peers, that your peers have for our mental health advocates?
I guess na since we're talking about mental health, especially with parents and with older generations, siguro it's mostly based on why they force us to believe in such, or why they decide na, oh, this is better for us, and then so on. Pero it's kind of different also when it comes to our perspective as well. Let's take, for example, oh, I don't think na, parents sometimes they would like to ask, why are you hanging out with these certain people? Why, I don't think they're good for you. Pero sometimes also it's kind of hard for us to also say na, oh, we don't need to hang out with them because sometimes these people are our support. Because you don't know naman if your child is experiencing any depression, anxiety, or any social any social problems. So I guess like respecting us also would one thing could be, if that answered. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I think we have the co-founders of Picnic also with us
Oh,
today.
yes. We got Daniel
So we have Daniel C.
and Margot.
Nakakatuwa, no, mga friends, no? Ang bata-bata pa nila ngayon. But I think talaga yung pinagtrabahuhan ni Nakita, ni Sheila, and other mental health advocates to really bring mental health to the forefront of our society. Na hanggang ngayon, at this point, we have teenagers who are aware of how important mental health really is. So I think the organization has also come up with ways to help their peers who are going through something, deal with with their mental health and their other issues. So I think now they can can you tell us what the common questions are of your peers based on the survey?
So the common questions, as we held our survey 2 weeks ago, were personal questions such as like how would they cope with that certain situation. It's all about basically their own particular situation, and they're asking for help.
Kinakabahan pa sila. Pero huwag yung kabahan, ganda-ganda nyo. Tignan nyo nga, kami nila Tita Tika, Tita Sheila, Tita JM, Tita JM, Tita Rita. Diba? Hindi kami kinakabahan masyado, konti lang. But I think, okay. Hi, Margot.
Hello.
Okay, so what are the questions that you have, based on your survey? And tamang-tama, the mental health advocates natin.
Hello?
Hello?
Can you repeat? I'm sorry.
Okay, it's okay. What were the questions commonly asked by your peers? with regards to their mental health?
Well, the commonly asked questions was if, like, how, like, what's the difference between being sad and like being depressed? And the other questions is like, how do you cope with it if you're experiencing a hard time?
Oh, okay. So I guess nasagot na rin natin kanina, no? Sana nakinig yung mga youth members ng Makinig and of course the other peers who are going through mental health problems. Okay, so I have a question for you guys. You know, since most of us here are parents, we would like to ask Anne, you know, so that we can be a part of, you know, everybody, of our kids healing, you know, because there may be something that, you know, other parents don't realize with their kids. So the number one, John, is how do parents gain the trust of their children so that, you know, you kids can freely open up to us, we can address all problems right there and then. Chrissy, Daniel, Margot.
I feel like uh you to gain our respect is basically treating us like the same lang. Like how would you gain trust of a friend or of someone na ka-age nyo, right? You have to build that relationship. You can't just force it na parang, oh, you're my child, you should tell me everything. Like, you can't expect us to say what we feel, to say what's going on with our lives. If you can't learn any boundaries, if you don't understand us instead of scolding us as well. Kasi madami ding parents na I know from my friends na
Boundary.
siguro, yeah, siguro like they go overboard, right? I mean, we understand then as parents, you guys want to make sure we're safe. You want to make sure that everything we do is legal also, of course. Pero I feel like setting
Legal.
boundaries, setting boundaries, setting boundaries, you know, like setting boundaries and then making sure na we are actually comfortable talking to you first before you force anything upon us. Kasi dapat din meron, there's like this open communication, right? Between two people. How do you start a conversation? Right? You have to set the base of it. You have to talk. You have to talk first. You have to set a topic, and I guess treating us with respect as well, as much as we respect you guys. It's dapat siguro mga fair. Yeah, there dapat fair communication amongst one another. Yeah. So
So to add on Krista's words, I feel like it actually depends on the type of relationship you have as a parent and as a child. Like it depends if they choose the love language of love, action, like those type of love languages. And I feel like what really helps is frequent checkups. Like and a factor that really means a lot as a child is showing that you actually care and not being judgy and the way that you're always there to hear our side. Yeah.
Thank you
So
for that, Daniel and Chrissy. So if we don't have questions anymore from our mamas, Mama Sheila, Mama Jerica, and Papa JM, Duck JM. Okay. So I think also, why don't you take this time also to promote your online event? Ito naman another completely different, more complex topic again na on mental health, which is being anti-bullying. This is one of the sources of a lot of mental stress among the kids today. Even as adults, di ba? Uso ngayon yung cyberbullying, di ba? Hindi pa tayo nakaka-escape dyan. So the girls have formed an online event. So Chrissy, Daniel, Marco,
um so in the next upcoming weeks, we have decided to create this week long event where each day it showcases every problem that's arising right now within our peers, within the youth, such as the beauty standards. You know, how people get bullied for being dark, for being fat, for being chubby. And we want to raise awareness on that because we truly believe, we truly know that the way everything is on the outside, that doesn't define you. It doesn't define who you are, right? And a lot of parents, and this also relates to parents then, because some parents I know, they would usually tell their kids, na, oh, you're getting too fat, you should lose some weight. Like, yeah, we understand that you want to help us with our image, but I feel like criticizing us, that's something that will actually hurt our own mental health as well. So yeah, I hope you guys also prepare for that. Or like, yeah, check it out also next week.
Okay. Thank you. That is very, very commendable, Chrissy. Okay, so at this point, thank you very much to our very, very hardworking mental health advocates, Mama
Yes,
Jerica, Mama Sheila,
congratulations.
Doc J, and thank you, Mictinique, for always supporting our webinars. Uh, of course, to JCI sa mga pinaglabanan, thank you, Press Direct Rita. And also thank you to JCI Philippines, led by our National President for 2020, Mark Lee. And of course, I have a Mishka. I'm so thankful to my floor director. So this is Mishka. She's been helping us with all the phone-in questions.
Hi.
Our go-for also for today, but our field director. So maybe any parting words for today, guys?
Um, yeah,
Let's start siguro with Mommy Sheila.
okay.
Parting words. Okay. Well, I mentioned earlier, no? Keep the faith coming. Whatever it is, whatever struggles we have in life, I'll never forget what Ika said. Sadly, ganun talaga tayong lahat, no? Ako, I'm guilty with that thing also na lahat pupuntahan natin that will make God last. When you think about it, and it had to take the death of my son also, at the end of the day, let's make God first. Let's make everything last, but God first, because He actually holds all the solutions to our problems. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Mommy Sheila. We'll now have Jerica.
Okay, I just want to thank everyone again. And exactly like Mommy Sheila, end of the day, everything is about God, and He's really where He's the hope that He's the only hope that we have. I know it sounds so cliche, and Mommy Sheila is the best example there. Like something might happen in your life and you might think that God is not real, but truly and honestly, if you seek Him, you will find Him. So I hope that people who are watching out there, He will keep pursuing you until you give Him a chance. So God bless everyone and take care, and hope to see you guys next week.
Yay! Thank you, Ika. God bless you also. And of course, Doc JM.
Okay. People would all ask me kung bakit ako naging psychiatrist, no? So, sabihin nila na people, you might have siguro low, mataas ang pasensya mo and all. Hindi yun. One trait na kailangan, hindi lang because psychiatrist ka din, one trait na dapat meron ka, no, is you should know how to listen. And it has to be, kailangan mindfulness yung pag-listen mo, no? Hindi mo kasi alam eh, maybe a friend or a family member or anyone, no, na kailangan lang ng isang taong makinig sa kanila. And you might miss that window, that period eh, yung chance yun na pakinggan mo siya eh, na baka he might need help eh. So I advise if you just listen lang, no, to someone or to anyone na nangangailangan tulong sa'yo, then maybe we could help, no? That's just it.
Thank you, Doc JM. Thank you, Doc JM. Bikini girls, thank you also again for all your time and all your effort, and good luck on your event. And of course, Press Rita, thank you. Any message?
Oh, guys, thank you again for joining us here at the live webinar. Of course, syempre, pasasalamatan natin ang ating very beautiful host, Ricky Matay.
All said, we are here as mental health advocates not to speak to an audience, like what Mommy G has said, but to speak to that one person. May mic pa ako. Okay. Speak to that one person, that one individual who may be needing to hear from us now. Every person counts. Every life counts. So thank you everybody for making this a successful event again, and we'll see you next weekend. A blessed Sunday, everyone. God bless you.